And we are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Twitch Snuffers. I am your host, Colin Connors. With me, as always, is my wonderful co-host / Latina flavor, Alicia Garza.
Hey.
Also joining us tonight, the always insightful Alex Cash.
Howdy.
The very beautiful Ben Millier.
Hi, friends.
And our special guest tonight, the #1 survivor for interacting with his fans, and the #1 survivor player in all of our hearts, the one, the only Billy Garcia.
Hey, everybody! Glad to be back in my favorite podcast.
Woo! See that we're his favorite podcast. Eat that. What is the other one? Like the Hidden Idol show. Eat that. And that actually is another one, so I feel kind of bad for saying that. Anyways, we have a whole bunch of stuff to discuss, and like with most episodes of Survivor and discussion, because that something crazy is happening next episode, much of what we talk about is going to be a wash, but we're still going to have fun analyzing every little detail. Alicia, me and you, we're going to talk first. We're going to talk about what's going on with Ty, because that was the very first little thing we got coming back from the camp was Ty basically, thanking everybody and just being like, hey, I'm so happy. Now, we all love Ty. Does Ty actually have a long-term shot in this game?
Of course he does. He's super precious. You can see, he's constantly trying to, endear people to him while also, keeping his head in the game. Plus, he has the idol that he's holding on to, so he'll at least make it around farther than we might think, hopefully, as long as he plays it right. But he's not going to go home without the idol in his pocket, like you said, so that's great. Also, you saw at the very end, he kind of, was head nodding to Julia, yeah, I've got you. So, I think he's got some ins with the beauty once merge comes.
Okay. So, Alex, would you say that, people like me who assume that Ty has no shot and chance of winning this game, do you think we're wrong? Do you think Ty could be the winner of this season?
Ty is going to go in the Lydia slot, which is the penultimate slot that belongs to someone who is too likable to be allowed to make it to the final immunity challenge, but is so likable that he will be allowed to make it all the way up to that point.
Okay, that's a pretty strong line you're drawing. Does anyone want to contrast with that, or does everyone seem to think that Ty is our 4th or 5th place winner, or even 3rd place winner if there is a final 2? Which rumors are that there are in fact a final 2 this season.
You know what? I think Ty is looking more and more like the winner we've never had. The kind of winner that'll make for a new type of player that we'll see in future seasons, which is the very likable but yet still smart enough to be strategic type player. Usually you're either one or the other.
So the Colin type player,
oh my God.
Really?
This is giving me life and giving me hope for when I am on Survivor.
Alicia, I think you mean me, but anyways. Okay, so what I love here is that everyone seems to have higher expectations for Ty than I do, but he's been able to go beyond all these expectations, so I'm really, really excited to see what happens with him. I do think he's not going to be a target next week. I don't see how that happens. Okay.
No way.
So we're going to jump around a little bit. And the next thing we saw was Nick being kind of douchey with Debbie. Now, interestingly enough, we all assumed that Nick's douchiness was kind of a precursor to him being voted out sometime soon. I actually think he might have some legs in the game, and especially considering the fact that he continues to get these same kind of confessionals, maybe he's actually setting up to be a villain similar to being, Jason, or is he just going to be the new Peter? What's the consensus on this? And anyone can jump in.
Okay, I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I think.
Is Nick the new Peter?
Now that Peter's gone, somebody's got to fill that void within the edit, and I think that's our man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but there's no way in heck he's even making it past Final 6, right?
I mean, honestly, I thought he was going today because he started talking a lot, and I was like, boom, here we go. We're hearing from Nick all the time. He's out of here. And then his tribe, unfortunately, won the challenge.
Yeah. Oh, and I thought the same thing, too, because, right after we left the other tribe beat, it was morning, and it was Nick being like, look at me, I'm the best guy ever, I'm Nick. And, yeah, I thought his goose was cooked, but I guess he's going to have some staying power. Alex, what's your opinion on this?
Well, first off, the thing is that Nick is definitely stepping in to fill that role, but Jason hasn't really left that role either. So, I mean, we have a brain drawn and a beauty hydra of douchey alpha males, and only one of those heads has been cut off. So.
Hey, Alex, I got a question for you. I am rooting for a douchebag holocaust to happen within the next several episodes. We started with Peter, and we're just going to start putting them all like to the guillotine, one after the other after the other. Are you rooting for the same thing?
So get a witness.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Alex, do you also agree on the douchebag holocaust? Because I don't want that to happen. Not yet. I think we still got two more episodes, and I want to laugh at Nick for a little bit. And I think Jason's just kind of mean. He's not as fun to laugh at as Nick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. Nick is well. Nick was just gross this episode. He was funny. Conceited and funny douchey in the last couple episodes, and this time he was just straight up talking down to Michelle, and it was not fun.
He was doing what they call mansplaining, which yeah. Which Alicia, as a woman who works professionally, I'm sure you're used to having men mansplain to you all the time, and you want nothing more than to vote them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's great when I do.
It's great when was that a snide mark at someone? Anyways.
I don't know.
The next thing we are jumping again because screw continuity. I want to bring up something that I felt like this whole season, but I feel like we haven't really taken the time to truly analyze. And Ben, you haven't talked yet, so me and you are going to talk. Why are the challenges this season so absolutely amazing? Where did this come from?
God.
Where did they increase the budget? Because I'm waiting to hear Jeff Probst say something like, we increased the budget, or we're testing out new challenges. Because this season, the challenges have been phenomenal. Say what you will about anything else.
That's like the constant remark that I have every time I'm on this podcast is, oh my gosh, remember that challenge?
And I ignore it because...
I don't know.
It's your thing. It's your segment.
I don't know what put a fire under their ass. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that there was the split and there was like the potential that they wouldn't come back, and then they got granted for 2 more seasons, and now we're going, and now they're putting balls to the wall again. This was the first of the more effort into the challenges for this season.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm just pulling fish out of baskets trying to come up with an explanation. I don't even need to explain it. All I need to say is thank goodness, because it's another, like, we're getting hooked again over the challenge aspect, which I think has been lacking for a while. And we got a reward challenge on its own in the tribal stage.
That's true. That's very true. And, I mean, Ben, I share your enthusiasm because I agree 100%. And Billy and Alex and Lee said, I was really getting kind of challenge drained. I was like, fuck it, just pick someone and give him because these challenges are dull and boring. Alex, you jump in because I know you wanted to chime in on this.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the fact that they just did an all-star season. Because instead of having to spread a certain number of new challenge ideas over an entire 2 seasons worth in one go, they can just rerun an entire thing of seasons, an entire season's worth of challenges for second chances, and make it explicitly second chance themed, and then pour all of that creativity into the other season. I think we also saw this in manifest in a slightly different way, where after Heroes versus Villains, Nicaragua only repeated 2 challenges out of the entire season. All the rest of them were completely new ideas, and part of that was because they thought they had to try to come up with young versus old balance challenges, but also just that they had time to come up with more new ideas.
I feel like it's a very, very fair point. Does anyone else want to chime in? And Billy, don't you wish you had these challenges when you were playing? Don't you think you would? Do you think you would have done better? Do you think you would have caught on fire? I don't think you would have.
Well, my season was. My season did have some new challenges and some rehashed old challenges, or reinvented old challenges. But so it had a little bit of both. But I agree with Alex. Plus, I'll add this: that what we have is several seasons in a row where one aspect of Survivor was great, and then the others were kind of so-so. So last season, well, the great aspect was the different twist on how to how to do the vote and all differently and all that stuff. And this season, and plus the idol placement in the challenges. This season, what's great is not the idol placement, but now it's the challenges. So I think each season is like something different is great, and one of these seasons they're gonna get it all right,
Yep.
and all of the ideas are gonna be great. So,
And that's the season that I win. And Billy, if you go ahead.
So when we were watching these challenges today, was anyone else like me and seeing that giant net that they had to like jump up and like crawl on top of and thinking, LOL, I would still be there like now trying to get up on top of it.
Oh my god, that was a son of a bitch to try to have.
Yeah. And I like how it's just completely apparent how having a literal giant on your tribe actually helps you out in Survivor. Because in every single challenge, Scott was just like, oh, that's a 10-foot tall thing. I'm on top of it now. It was great.
And yet they still lost.
They did still lose. Quick last comment on the challenges was that, Billy, if you could somehow get caught on fire in one of the challenges today, that would have been an achievement. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward a little bit to Michelle taking the blame for the challenge. And, Billy, this is a specific question I want to ask you about because you've been out there, you felt the island fatigue. Why do players take the blame for stuff like that? Because Peter even did it today. Because to me, it just seems like it's really dumb to put the target on your back. And I mean, this goes back to Zane in Survivor Philippines. What makes players just go, yeah, it was my bad, LOL? And at least I understand you wouldn't.
Another level from Michelle today, though.
I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't deny it, but I wouldn't, immediately paint the target on my back. So why do they do that, Billy?
I think it's an attempt at reverse psychology. I think it's an attempt that instead of saying nothing and then waiting until everybody start pointing fingers at you, and then you have your back to the wall to do the opposite and say, yeah, it was my fault, and hear everybody say, no, it's all right. It's not all your fault. You can't put it all on you. It's an attempt at reverse psychology. Once in a while it works. A lot of times it doesn't work. Like Zane was the example of it not working even one iota.
Well, he went a step further, and he was like, I really, really think you should vote me out, guys. I want to be voted out. Please vote me out. Which is insane.
Ben wanted to hop in and chime in real quick.
I think, for me, it's more like getting ahead of the bus. If you know you're going to get run over, at least get ahead of it and, take ownership of your actions rather than, trying to placate and trying to, say, oh, man, if we work better as a team and I don't know what happened. And, at least you're taking ownership for the fact that it was clearly apparent. Mm-hmm. You're gonna talk behind my backs anyway, so I might as well throw it out in the open, so that way there's no venue for that to happen. Yeah. You can still use my name because that's going to happen regardless of if I'm gonna take ownership or not. Mm-hmm. But at least I'm taking responsibility for being part of the reason why we did not win that. And I was impressed that in both challenges, both of them did do that. You could have I was less impressed with Peter because he could have played that off against Ty if he really wanted to for dropping the block and it being so close. Mm-hmm. But in Michelle's case, there was no denying it. If she had gotten that net, then they would have won that challenge because they would have had a commandable lead because they came back so well with the shooting.
That's very fair. I would say, I guess I would do something like that, but I would be like, okay, I cost you guys a challenge, but Alex did pee in the rice. So I would take the blame and then defer. Now, like I said, we can't really talk too much about tribal strategy this episode until we get to the vote because of the fact that we're merging next episode, OMG. But I wanted to bring up something that I keep seeing in editing. When Debbie is talking to girls, Debbie is saying, I want this to be girls at the end. I want this to be girl power. And she did that to Sydney, and she did that to Michelle earlier. And we have not gotten a confessional from Debbie denying this accusation. So, Alex, is girl power with Debbie in our future? Is that what's going to happen at the merge?
Yes. Or alternately, it could be an ironic thing, like how Kimmy's all-girl alliance ended up working out.
But I mean, this one has had a little bit of backing, and I mean, we did saw the 3 beauty girls alliance fall completely to crap, so that was misdirection. Do you think they would misdirect us again on Debbie's all-girl thing, Alex?
I don't think that was misdirection. I think that was explanation.
Okay. Well, I guess it was explanation that didn't need to exist because they could have shown that whole tribe without even mentioning it because of how it fell apart. But does anyone else want to chime in? Is Debbie's all-girl alliance actually going to be a thing?
I think this is... Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we saw this in the last season where, You had the mention early on about an all-girl alliance. The originator of the idea gets voted out, and then it comes back later in the season, and so it's kind of like a foreshadow. I think we're seeing a repeat of that style of edit, where it got mentioned early on. The person who mentioned it, who brought up the idea, is voted out, and then we'll see the idea come back later in the season. I don't think it's going to work. I think that'll be Debbie's downfall.
Okay, Debbie, Sydney, Michelle, final three. That's a fact. No, I'm joking. Ben, go ahead.
Well, one, I was just talking to someone on Skype, and I literally said my ideal final three would be Sydney, Debbie, and Michelle. So that's funny. I think that I would love for that to happen, the All Girls Alliance. I think that it would happen if it wasn't for Sydney being so tied to Braun. I think it could be plausible other than that. I would be shocked if Sydney was to defect to someone other than Kyle and Scott when they get to merge.
Well, since we're playing kind of Fantasy Survivor, maybe Sydney would flip if an idol was used and it took out Scott or Jason.
Right, but they need to, something has to happen to two of them before she finds the comfort level in going in a different direction. Because we saw that the early game, them going to Tribal Council so much, the only thing that was ingrained in our head is that those three were a tight unit.
And that's fair. And I mean, even today, the quick little shot at Jason we had, Sydney was massaging his legs and stuff. They are clearly very, very close. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the Dr. Elephant in the room, and that's Peter's gameplay. So, Peter attempted to play both sides, and he failed absolutely miserably. Alicia, I believe you wanted to make some comparisons and some comments. I'm going to jump in front of this bus and let you go ahead and do it.
Oh, that's really weird because I think you read my mind that I wanted to make some comparisons because I don't think I told you, but I was thinking, and I feel so bad about this, but I was kind of thinking it reminded me a little bit of the Andrew Savage merge boot because apparently he was very arrogant at that time in Pearl Islands and Peter very arrogant here. So it was very reminiscent to me, which I feel bad saying because I love Andrew Savage so much.
Well, I guess what we should be discussing about it, though, is should players like Peter even attempt to try to play both sides, or is there a way to convincingly... I mean, we've seen players convincingly play both sides and it'd be okay, and then we've seen other players fall on their faces. What separates them, Billy? What allows some people to be Tonys, and what makes some people Dr. Peter?
It's that play, which I did. That was my strategy, and it blew up in my face. But that play really does depend heavily on the people that you're in the game with. It also worked for Russell Hantz in Samoa. It worked for Russell Hantz quite a bit until his last go around where he didn't even get a chance to do anything. But it's definitely a hit or miss, and it's very reliant on who you're on the tribe with. And some people appreciate gameplay a lot, like a Stephen Fishback appreciates gameplay a lot, so he's okay with somebody who strategizes a lot. Then you get other people who don't want to hear it, like an Andrew Savage. That was his thing, that he just wanted to make friends but not make allies.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a thesis, and Alex, you're going to completely tell me why it's wrong. But my thesis is that in Survivor playing, you saw Peter try to play both sides once and he failed. That maybe if he wouldn't have tried again, at least not for a little bit, he actually had a chance to make it much further in the game. So, Alex, would you say that you can play both sides, but the moment you get caught, you have to immediately stop, or else you're done in?
Well, you can't play the same two sides ever again. You have to wait until things realign. New people start distrusting each other. But it's a fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you kind of thing.
Okay. And we all agree that Peter just... I think, and Alicia, I guess I want to ask you, maybe part of the reason Peter's downfall happened was because, yeah, he was playing both sides, but he was also not likable at all. So maybe you need to be at least a little bit likable in order to play both sides.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And you also have to be pretty self-aware. And also, you really have to keep up with your lies and keep up with what you've been saying and keep it all straight in your head.
I agree with all that, but I think there's also the one element that we haven't mentioned is that, to my recollection, everybody that's ever played the two sides had that tag team partner. They weren't alone. Even though that tag team partner wasn't calling shots, they were there. And I think that's what Peter was missing.
Tony had Wu, you're right.
That's so true.
And
That's absolutely the case.
Yeah.
Cochran and Don.
Yeah, you always talk about like a pair being in the middle, except for one season where just one girl was in the middle, and then she ended up being the one voted out because she played it so shittily.
Dolly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going back. So that's the answer.
Recent, actually, but I don't know who it was, or I think she was wearing orange. So,
so that seems to be the moral of the story is that if you play both sides, there's got to be two of you. Because even Russell, when he flipped back and forth, he normally had someone voting along with him. So bam, we have solved all the Survivor questions. Besides, of course, what's going to happen next week? And the answer is we don't know, but we're actually going to speculate a little bit on it. So Ben, did the Brains make the right decision? What is Aubrey going to do? What's Joe going to do? What's going to happen next episode? Should we even waste our time talking about it? Because it's going to be just a giant madhouse. What's your opinion, Ben?
We need to wait till next week, is my opinion. They gave us nothing. They literally gave us peanuts for what other than surprise, it's a merge, surprise, like we already didn't know that.
Well,
all we know is that we have 4 from the old Brain tribe, 4 from the old Beauty tribe, and 3 from the old Brawn tribe. So if we're going off of that, then we're gonna watch the Brawn be the swing. But that's totally dependent on if they go back to the originals.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel in my soul that the Brains are not looking too good. I feel like Aubrey and Joe did not handle this situation correctly. Does anyone else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, so I actually have a question for you, Billy, about Aubrey from the Brains. So today, at the end, after the vote was revealed, we see her face. And it's just like this stone cold, like staring straight forward, like boom face. And I wanted to know, when you saw her face like that, were you thinking it's because she's like, boom, like you're dead to me, like I'm doing this, I'm going forward? Or was it like an, oh shit, what have I done? I'm so fucked and I'm trying to process this face. What do you think it was?
Yeah, I think in her case, she was trying to straddle a line, and she was forced to pick something. And now that she's picked it, she's like, oh shit, did I make the right choice? I just fucked my favorite, my closest ally. Like, now what do I do? I'm stuck in this situation, and I fucked my closest ally. It's just gonna come bite me in the ass. And Joe is the type that'll bully you. He has no problem bullying you. So this could be hell for her when they return to camp. Yeah. That's what I'm most looking for.
Honestly, I could see Aubrey being the first boot of the merge. I think it could fall on her. Is anyone else want to comment on that? Alex, what about you? Like, do you think maybe if Aubrey and Joe took some time, like, hey, we're voting off Peter, and told Scott and Ty and Julia that maybe they could work together at the merge, or do you think the Brains are going to be out no matter what? What do you think? And then I am going to jump to Ben.
I think the Brains, they could work together for an episode or two, but one of the things that happened in the secret scene is that it's not just tension between Aubrey and Joe that we saw in this episode. Last week, Debbie thought that Neil was being condescending to her by, like, because she came to him all, yay, I have Sid in my back pocket. We have an alliance with the Bronze. And he's like, yeah, but you really need to stop being so chatty. And she's like, I outrank you. Yeah, she said, I outrank you. So I think she's going to start looking for greener pastures, and I think Joe's going to get skittish. And their alliance is not really,
the Brains are going to fall apart. I'm saying that right now. I will say right now, a Brain does not win this season.
It doesn't really trust itself either. So I think the Bronze are the best positioned going forward. Okay.
Now, Ben, go ahead.
Do I think Aubrey made the right decision? Debatable. I haven't processed that through. Do I think unintentionally she made the best decision, not knowing that she's now going into a merge and having gotten Peter out? Yes. I think that she inadvertently set up a game and a better merge and a better opportunity to be cohesive with the original Brain Tribe with him gone, and that was all unintentional, or so we assume.
All right. And Alicia, you want to chime in real quick?
I just think the way she went about it was shitty. Like, writing the name Julia, crossing it out, and writing Peter, like, it doesn't matter that Julia was safe because of it. Julia's still gonna be distrustful and pissed, because I know I would be.
I just realized that. I didn't realize the implication that Julia did see her name crossed out. Ben, go ahead and jump to that. Oh, that is awful.
That's why I said it was legendary in the group chat, because it's so bad.
Yeah.
Right, but at the same like that can be played off. My big question is, why didn't she just tie the vote? And if she felt so bad, why didn't she just switch her vote in the revote?
Yeah, I wouldn't chance it either. But Alicia was mentioning about the scratched out vote and all that, and remember that the question was how untrustworthy Peter was, and he turned out to go along with the game plan and keep his word to Joe, and now it turned out to be Julia who was the one who came to Joe and tried to switch up the strategy, and Joe was like, no.
You mean Aubrey?
Aubrey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Aubrey, we tried to switch up the game plan, and Joe was like, no, we got to stick to what we came up with originally. So now it's Aubrey that comes off all sketchy, and it's going to make Joe wonder, like, did he read all this wrong in the first place? Was Peter turned out to be the trustworthy guy, and Aubrey turned out to be the sketchy backstabber?
The only good thing about Joe is that if he lies low, he won't have a target on his back for 5 episodes. So hopefully he realizes that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to lie low. I think he's going to jump into Aubrey's face the very next episode as soon as they get back to camp.
So with all of that being said, I know we are extremely excited about the merge, but before we wrap things up for the evening, does anyone have any final thoughts or last things they want to just talk about for this episode, something that we didn't get a chance to cover?
When we talked last week, we talked a lot about Sydney's character development, and especially the strides they made with that last episode. She was invisible this round, and we were all saying last round, like, that is a good indication for her future game. So I'm interested to hear what people's perspectives are on Sydney, the fact that she didn't really get any airtime at all this episode, and the fact that she is now being reunited with her original Braun tribe after she was given character development going away from that.
Ben, I'm going to speak as a professional. Her invisible edit doesn't mean anything. I think, Sandra got invisible edits. I still think Sydney's a very strong player. Alicia, you want to jump in?
I just had a mini epiphany.
Okay.
So a lot of what we've talked about, and kind of one of the underlying shitty themes of this season, has been like men talking down to women and acting like they can control them, or acting like they can just say whatever the fuck they want to them, and like it doesn't matter because they're men, and whatever. So what if Debbie's like all women's alliance like actually does come to fruition, and the whole like comeuppance of all of these like asshole guys ends up being like getting taken out by the women like one by one?
I would say
it's a very long shot, but that would be kind of cool.
I would say it's adorable that you thought of that on your own, Miss Pretty Lady.
I would say scumbag apocalypse, yes.
Scumbag apocalypse, yes. All right.
The last time this was a major plot point. Okay, the next to last time this was a major plot point, because it was also Worlds Apart. But in San Juan del Sur, all of that was a major thing. That was a reason that Jacqueline considered flipping. And then all-female Final 3.
True. All right. So I believe we have analyzed this episode all to death. The next episode looks absolutely amazing. So I do want to wrap things up. But before I do, I want to give a big thank you to Ben, Alex, Alicia, and, of course, the wonderful Billy Garcia. And I hope to see you all next week for the amazing merge episode. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.